What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the NBA Hounds podcast. I'm your host, Vincent Miracle. Joining me every single week that we do this show, Connor Renfro. Connor, say hi to everybody.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So we got three main points that we're going to get into today's show. Kevin Durant possibly shutting it down for the season. Steve Nash shutting down his career, decides to retire out of random. And now, the battle for the eighth seed. And then who's going to win the MVP? Harden, Curry. But let's start off with the main thing, the number one point. Kevin Durant possibly shut down for the season. Connor, did you see this coming, or was there like a good chance that you thought he was coming back for the playoffs?
No, I definitely didn't see it coming. I thought he would come back as scheduled. I thought he would get into a groove with 5 to 10 games left in the season, and I think they would be what everyone thought they would be. Be a really scary eighth seed in the West. But now with him possibly shutting down, even if he does come back, maybe right at the beginning of the playoffs, I don't see them, especially him and Westbrook. I don't see them redeveloping their chemistry enough to where they can really make any noise, especially if they're going to be playing Golden State, which it looks like they will be. So I think that pretty much shoots down the Thunder's all hopes they had of maybe upsetting Golden State in the first round. I still think they'll play all right through the regular season with Westbrook playing like he has, but yeah, it was a big surprise. I definitely didn't see it coming.
Yeah, so the report is that he's not shutting it down for the season completely, but he is out indefinitely and is away from all basketball activities. So, and not only that, now you also hear that Serge Ibaka is going to be out for, was it 3 to 4 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks, until basically the playoffs start with the knee surgery. So it just kind of looks like the Thunder are rolling injury prone, and it looks like they're pretty much putting the keys to the franchise in Russell Westbrook's hands this season to see what they can do going into the playoffs. Now, I think what's really helped them are the trades. Getting Enes Kanter, I think that's really helped them, having another low post presence down there. I think Steven Adams has really been stepping up with blocks defensively while Ibaka has been out, grabbing the rebounds. I think just the other night he had a 15 rebounding game. That's awesome to see. But you need to have a number two guy. And I don't think Westbrook, although he's got his 10th triple-double, I believe, tonight, and we're taping this show on Sunday, March 22nd, I still don't see, I don't see them having enough firepower to, even if they make the playoffs, let's say they make this eighth seed, defeating the Golden State Warriors, like you said. Connor, I want to get your thoughts on Serge Ibaka going down, and do you at all think that there's a chance that they can start slipping now that it's just basically Russell Westbrook by himself? I mean, you said you think they can do all right through the regular season, but is there any chance that New Orleans is now thinking this is our time? This is what we have to do, although they just lost Tyreek Evans with an ankle injury. But just your thoughts on that battle for the eighth seed right now.
Well, yeah, I think New Orleans. I think they do smell blood in the water, but they've had a lot of the same problems. Anthony Davis has been in and out of the lineup. Ryan Anderson has barely played this year. Drew Holiday's went down, and obviously, like you just said, Tyreek Evans is out now. So, I think the race will tighten up, but I think Oklahoma City just has more talent in reserve, and obviously with Westbrook playing the way he is, I think they'll hold on to it, but I don't think either one of those teams right now. I don't think they'll make any kind of fuss in the playoffs. I think whichever one does get in, it's possible they get swept. But yeah, I think Oklahoma City holds on to it. With Serge Ibaka out, that's putting more weight on Westbrook's shoulders because even though his value was defensive, obviously he has been developing his 3-point shot, and he's a decent mid-range jump shooter, and so now that's gone. Now they do have I like a couple of the bigs they have. I like Mitch McGary a lot, but I mean he's he's a garbage man. He's going to score off opportunity. Um, but so yeah, I think Ibaka going down is just kind of the final the final blow that Oklahoma City is going to take. That really, without a shadow of a doubt, they'll be a quick out in the playoffs.
Who becomes their number two guy? Is it just Ennis Cantor automatically, or do we have to start putting more hope into Dion Waiters? And I'm not a huge fan of Dion Waiters. I think you can just tell he wants the ball more than he should ever have it. I mean, there's times where you can basically see him like calling for the ball while Westbrook has it in his hands, dribbling and has an ISO. The play is meant for Westbrook to have an ISO, and yet you still see Dion Waiters literally on the wing calling for the ball as if he's going to do something better with it. So do you have to hope Dion Waiters can start developing something more, building a cohesiveness, or is it just completely him, Westbrook, and then his number two guy is going to be Cantor? Or is it just going to be number two guy by association? Like literally it's going to be whoever can step up on any given night.
Yeah, I think most of the time it'll be Cantor because I agree with most of what you said about Dion Waiters. He can't really be trusted with the ball. Um, he's going to take some bad shots. I think he needs to, at least while he's on this team, he needs to realize that his destiny is to stand there and shoot open threes, which even that he's not great at. So I think I think Cantor will be the guy most of the time. I mean, he's really the only other competent scorer that they have on the roster that's active right now. But yeah, I think it'll just be the hot hand. I think if maybe Anthony Morrow's on fire one night, which we all know he's capable of doing. I think it'll just be play it by ear, and whoever's stepping up that particular night will be the sidekick for the night, and
Yeah,
just have to hope that whoever that is and Westbrook it can produce enough offense to maybe have their defense get enough stops where they can squeak out some wins. But I don't it looks bleak for them for the rest of this season.
yeah, I definitely remember during the off season this year, or before this upcoming season, during the off season, when they were making Anthony Moore a big thing. Like that was their big signing. Like, hey, oh, we got Anthony Moore, sharpshooter, coming off the corners, and he's really been quiet. He's kind of been picking up these last 4 or 5 games. He's been kind of picking it up, knocking down his threes, but he doesn't do much else but shooting. So I don't really see why he was such a big thing. And now with the opportunity that he's going to have, maybe that's exactly, he's going to turn into that person that the front office and the press that Oklahoma City brought out of, we got Anthony Morrow. Like maybe we'll see something that they saw or they felt when they brought him on. We'll see. But my last question I want to ask you, and it's going to lead us into the next segment here, is with all these injuries and now Russell Westbrook having to take on such a big toll, do you have to put him even more in the conversation for MVP, or is it just become a two-man race between Harden and Curry?
No, I think it's very much a three-man race. I think Westbrook is a distant third right now, but let's say Curry hits a shooting slump, maybe, that's unlikely, but just hypothetically, let's say he starts a lot of the shots that have been falling for him just stop falling for a couple games. And maybe Harden, we all know he can have some streaky shooting nights. Say maybe he's not getting to the line as much as he usually is for a couple games. And I think if Westbrook continues to play this way, then you seriously got to put him up there with those two. At least at least if someone starts slumping. Um, but yeah, I don't think he'll win MVP. Um, and I don't think he should as of right now. But I think you got to give him some consideration at least.
Yeah, I was talking with some of our people from Hound Sports, and we were discussing it in the NBA channel. And my big thing was he said, "Well, Westbrook, he just got another triple double, and again tonight he got his 10th triple double of the season. The only people next to him, behind him, is I believe Carter Williams, Harden, and one other player." And he's like, "Yeah, well, and now they're going to start winning games. They're going to rely on him so much, but." You say he's a distance third. You still think it's a three-man race. I completely am against that. I think it's just two. It's down to two players. It's either Harden or it's either Curry. I think it's between those two guys. And yes, they're slumping, but the things that they do for their team is just amazing. I mean, you watch Curry, and if he's having a bad shooting night, like he did the other night, I believe he went like 4 for 11 or 4 for 12, and he still made a ton of passes, and his defense by a team. I don't think individually there's a lot of good individual defense on Golden State, but as a team defense, same with Atlanta. I don't think they have a lot of good individual defense, but as team defense, they are really really good, and that's why I think they rely so much on Andrew Bogut. But even if Stephen Curry's shot isn't falling, I think what he does passing the ball and how he talks and how vocally he is a leader, and you can see that on the floor how much he praises his teammates and his teammates praise him. I love watching them play. I think that shows enough. But I think who wins it, and I still stand by this, I think it's James Harden. What he's done is what Russell Westbrook is going to have to do now. He hasn't had Dwight Howard since early, I believe, January, and he's been winning games by himself. Like Terrence Jones came back. Now he's injured again. You've had Dontaeus Montejunis. You've had, an inconsistent Josh Smith. You're hoping on Corey Brewer to have a couple streaks. And then, but he literally has a number two man by association. And that's what I was asking you with Russell Westbrook. And now Westbrook has to take that on, and he's only battling for the 8th seed. Harden has his team, I believe, at the 4th seed right now. And that's why I see Harden winning it. And that's why I don't see Westbrook even in the conversation. Does he have to get more notice? Yeah, he definitely has to get more notice. But I completely see it's a two-man race. Now, you're also on the same. I know you say he's a distant third, and it's definitely between the two. But as of right now, because of what happened this past week, Harden going off for 50, and then Curry and the Warriors beating Atlanta, and you cover the Hawks. So after this week, did you see possibly a change where you see Harden now as the number one possibility for getting MVP? Or is it possibly now Curry at number one because his team is doing really great? I mean, let me get your thoughts on the MVP race just between Harden and Curry right now.
Yeah, well, I said on the last show that I think Harden is the MVP, and I still do. I still think that. I mean, you take Dwight Howard out of that lineup, and they haven't skipped a beat. It's not like they're just clinging onto a playoff spot. No, they're up there in the standings, like you said. They're in 4th place still, and it's all because of him. I mean, you take him away from that team, I think they're maybe still fun to watch with that offense, but I mean they're not a playoff team without him. Um, Now with the same could be argued with Curry, but I mean that team is Golden State is so deep. I think just without Curry, I don't think obviously they wouldn't be nearly as good as they are with him. But I think they could stay afloat for longer without him than Houston could without Harden. Um,
I see Golden State without Stephen Curry, basically New Orleans. Like they'd have a pretty good starting five and a decent bench. Like you know what I mean? You'd still have, I think you'd have Sean Livingston as your starter. You have Clay still knocking down the threes, and you'd have former All Star David Lee, Andre Iguodala, and you're still relying on an injury prone Andrew Bogut. I mean, if you take Curry out, and even Clay Thompson has said this, that I still think that they're battling for like the 7-8 seed. That's how good I think they are, especially because of the team defense that they do. So that's my personal thought on it.
yeah. I mean, obviously Curry's the best player on that team, and he makes everything go for them. Um, but I think if you remove him from that, they become even with Thompson. I think they become a much different team. A much obvious, like you said, a much worse team. But I think they move through the low post a lot, like with you, like you said with David Lee. He'd probably be thrown back into the rotation just because they need some offense. Um, but yeah, I think I still think Harden's the MVP. Although Curry's been making his case all year, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he won.
Let me
Either one, I think it would be a good choice.
let me ask you this. I want to go back to Houston. Let's say the roles were reversed and Howard and Harden got that reversal. Like let's say Harden was the man of the team Howard was the man of the team and Harden was injured. He's been out since January. Does Houston stay afloat with Howard?
I don't think so.
I
Obviously Dwight
agree.
Howard's really good, but
I agree. That's a good answer.
yeah, I don't think. I mean, he's one of the best big men in the league still, but I don't think they. I mean, L.A. That L.A. had him, and we saw how they did. They were the eighth seed and seventh seed, excuse me, and got swept out of the first round by San Antonio. I mean, Dwight Howard's great, but he's not a team catalyst like James Harden is.
Yeah, I mean he still can't make a free throw. It'd be like having DeAndre Jordan as your star player. You know what I mean? I definitely and but more offensively gifted. I'm not gonna lie. I believe Dwight Howard is possibly up there as maybe a top three center. You definitely have Marcus Gasol at number one, maybe Cousins at two, and then Dwight Howard, or maybe even flip flop that two or three. You know what I mean? Just because offensively, what he does, and then defensively, he still brings it. But
Yeah,
if you take Harden out and you leave Howard in there, there is no way. Oh no, that as Jalen Rose would say, I'm not going to be able to do it. There's no way I could ever buy into that team. I can't
yeah,
see it. I can't see it since Orlando. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, they would. That's what they would be without Harden. They would. They obviously they have a lot of 3-point shooters, and Kevin McHale would have to kind of replicate Stan Van Gundy's formula in Orlando with by surrounding Howard with 3-point shooters and hoping he can collapse defenses enough to get some of those guys open. But obviously that some of those guys that they have there in Houston sacrifice something defensively, regardless of how good their shooting is. But yeah, I think uh, I think James Harden. If James Harden goes out and you put Dwight Howard back in, that I don't think they're even a playoff team.
You brought up Van Gundy. Just off topic here. Have you been watching Detroit? Do you think he's trying to do the same thing with Andre Drummond? I mean, I've been watching it. I kind of see it because I mean the way he's been using Caldwell Pope, how he's been knocking down shots, but he's very streaky. I think he was hoping more from Jody Meeks, and you haven't really been seeing it. And now they got Reggie Jackson, and they want to re-sign him for next season, but he's been going up and down. Like tonight, he had a great game. The other day, he had a triple double, but it was the most terrible line of a triple double. You know, have you been watching Detroit at all, and like how Van Gundy's working it out there? Like, what are your thoughts on Van Gundy in Detroit right now?
Well, I think he's obviously the team's better than they were last season, so there's that. But I think if he is trying to build something like he had in Orlando, that kind of system, which he might be. I've watched them a few times, and like you said, I've kind of seen it where he plays Anthony Tolliver, guys like that, a lot more than he used to. But I think he's on the right track there. I do think if he's going for that kind of formula, I think he needs to abandon it. I mean, Reggie Jackson isn't exactly a laser 3-point shooter. And then a lot of the guys you have, like you said, Caldwell Pope. I like Caldwell Pope a lot, but he needs to get uh, he needs to become more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then some of the guys you have off the bench that can shoot, they like Anthony Tolliver. He's big, and I think he's okay guarding some threes in the league, but he plays primarily the four, and I don't think he can match up defensively with most power forwards, especially post up guys like Zach Randolph. Guys like that.
What about Monroe? You think he stays?
No, I don't. I
They
think
burned it, huh? They burned that bridge.
Yeah, I think I was surprised that he didn't sign an offer sheet last season and leave
Mm.
or last off season. But now he'll be unrestricted. He can go where he wants. I think he'll end up having to settle for a little less money unless Detroit just really brings it and wants him wants him back for whatever reason, and just pays him way more than anyone else is. I don't see him staying.
Yeah, they burned that bridge. They waited too long to get rid of Josh Smith. They waited
Yeah.
too long. They should have traded Josh Smith when Sacramento offered it during the offseason, especially for how much up in the air of a coin flip it was to whether or not you're going to have Monroe. You don't write it out because now you just let Josh Smith go for nothing, and now he's in Houston. But you let him go for nothing. You waived him, and you're still paying him. and now he's in Houston, and now you're going to be losing Greg Monroe. I don't think he signs either. I think he goes to New York, and I think he gets a max deal. He's putting up numbers. He's a up and coming star big man. I like him a lot. I like Greg Monroe. I think he deserves the money. He puts up a constant double double. He's a double double threat every night. Defensively, he needs work, but I mean, defensively, DeMarcus Cousins needs work, and yet he was an all star this year. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you bring up just real quick. You bring up his defensive shortcomings, and actually there was talk last season of Charlotte signing him to an offer sheet, and I'm a Charlotte fan, and I'm really glad that didn't happen because the defensive uh, the defensive potential of Al Jefferson and Greg Monroe is 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 rock bottom. And so yeah, he definitely needs to improve there. And that's an interesting point you bring up about him going to New York, maybe.
mhm.
Um, yeah, New York, L.A. Teams like that probably be yeah, that's their style to just go and free agency, build through free agency. So yeah, I guess it really depends on what's important to him. If he wants to win now, then he'll have to take less money. But if he wants to get paid, I actually like that idea of him going to New York, maybe.
I know we have to get to the next subject. We're gonna get to the Steve Nash, but we're talking about contracts, and I gotta get your thoughts on this. What happens to Wesley Matthews? He got injured. You know, it's an Achilles. He was going for max deal money? I know he was going for max deal money.
Yeah,
Does he possibly just sign like a 1 year deal just to say I still got it? Or like, how do you think he's going to construct a contract with a team? Because I know Portland's not going to give him max money, and it's just like, what do you see happening? Does he stay in just Portland for 1 more year? I mean, I just want to know your thoughts.
no, actually, I think based on what I've seen, what I've heard, he likes it in Portland. Um, yeah, he does want to get paid. But he's not old, but he's kind of past the point of being a max guy because teams typically want to sign max guys young, like Jimmy
Mhm.
Butler, and I think he stays in Portland. I think if nothing else, this his injury has has shown has shown Terry Stotts and has shown the Trailblazers how important Wesley Matthews is to that team. Because Aaron Aflalo has been starting in his place, and Aaron Aflalo is a solid shooting guard, but there there's something missing. They've lost a step with Wesley Matthews out. So I think in the end Portland will will be too scared to ruin the momentum they've built up over the last couple seasons, and I actually think they keep him on a long-term deal.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. I think Aflalo can't be looked at as your number three guy. He is definitely good. He's one of those players that you look at. He's too good to be a six man, but not good enough to be that third man. So I think like he's just a great six man player. They had him in the right spot when Wesley Matthews had him. And the reason why I kind of disagree with you and think he could have got a max deal is because of the way the NBA is played right now. He was battling for like the most 3 pointers made this season. You know, he was like 1 and 2 between him and Kyle Korver. And he can also post up. You know, his game was kind of reminding me of a younger Paul Pierce, just because of the way he can back you down and then knock an open shot. And Paul Pierce is still in the league right now. You know what I mean? And he's an old man. He's a veteran, and he'll probably be there next season. I think in Washington for 1 more year. So that's why I was kind of thinking like, yeah, maybe the age is a problem, but at the same time, the way he was playing was, how he plays could have earned him that contract. But now I think he has to do a 1 year deal just to prove like if he wants that money that one more time where he's going to get paid money, he has to just do a 1 year deal just to prove to people I still got game. This injury is not gonna hold me back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it also might be to his advantage to sign a 1-year deal, because since the cap is going to blow up after next season, and teams are going to be willing to spend then. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that'd be a good idea for him financially, and I could see it happening. But I think Portland tries their best to hang on to him with a long-term deal.
All right, so let's get back on topic here. Let's go to topic number two that we have, or number three. We did Kevin Durant. We did the MVP. Now let's go to Nash. He decides to retire. You know, I mean, we kind of were expecting it, but at the same time, it was kind of out of left field because I woke up, did my morning stretches, walked to the kitchen, ate a bowl of cereal, went to work, got a message, officially retires. Um, Thoughts on it? I mean, were you kind of surprised when you saw it? Or were you just kind of like, finally it happened? I mean, finally it was announced, or were you kind of
Well,
like, man, I was kind of hoping seeing it for one more season?
yeah, I think we all knew he was going to retire. I thought he would wait till the season was over because last year he said in an interview with Bill Simmons that he was going to play one more year simply because he wanted the money. And I don't know how his contract was structured. Maybe he's been paid for the final time and he's like, all right, I'm done. Um, but yeah, I thought he would wait till the season was over, even though he hasn't played all year. And even if he was healthy, LA probably wouldn't want him to play because they're rebuilding and he didn't really fit into that. But anyway, yeah, I was surprised by it because I just it seemed odd timing, in the he's on a roster and it's just kind of in the middle of the season. Um, you
Did you
see,
see the report? Did you see the report that the Cavs were reportedly looking to possibly sign him if he was looked to be bought out by the Lakers to have him be their backup point guard for just certain minutes? Like,
yeah, I did.
what would your thoughts be in him in Cleveland?
Yeah, that'd be maybe that would rekindle his fire a little bit, being on a possibly a contending team. Um, I think yeah, I think Cleveland is they're getting a little too heavy-handed with the win now stuff. I mean, they were pursuing Ray Allen. They have Sean Marion, Mike Miller. That they're going to need to, and all of those guys are, on very very small deals, but still, yeah, they're going to have a lot of turnover in their roster if they keep adding veterans like that, just because they want to win now so badly. But I think it would have been an interesting fit, yeah, using him as a backup. I think he can still shoot if he was healthy, and he can still throw some passes. So I think for 10, 15 minutes a game, maybe 20 minutes, I think he would have been fine there. Yeah, I think he would have been nothing great, but nothing not bad. I think he would have been all right.
Yeah, see, I like Nash. I loved watching him play, especially in his younger days in Dallas, especially in Phoenix where he won the two MVPs. And when I saw the retirement, it just kind of gave me flashbacks to some of like my favorite moments when I saw him. Like I'm out here in Sacramento. I cover the Sacramento Kings for both Hound Sports, Fansided, and stuff like that. Plug in, you guys go check me out. Um, but yeah, watch. I just kept thinking about all the good playoff games that we used to see him in and things like that. It's like it was a great player that we got to watch, and the conditioning that he put himself through. Like he was just a consummate professional. Like he knew exactly what to do, knew exactly what to say. He was an idol. You know what I mean? Like he was great to watch. And I have to be honest, I hated him in LA. I hated that he went there. He once said that he would never go play for LA, and then he went to LA for possibly becoming a champion again because they had Howard there. I mean, of course you go. You want to be a champion. He's the only two-time MVP, only MVP that's never even made it to a finals game. So, and we talked about that before the show started. So, I mean, it's sad to see it, sad to hear about it. I'm just glad he's out of the yellow or the purple and gold. But no, it is what it is. He had a great career. I think he's like third on the list of assists all time. He's just one of those players that you just love watching. But all you guys out there, leave your guys' comments in the comment section below. I want to know all you guys' favorite Steve Nash moments. And Connor, what's your favorite Steve Nash moment?
Oh gosh, I think this is kind of this will be unexpected, but I think my favorite Steve Nash moment is I can't remember who they were playing. He played for Phoenix. I think it was his second stint with Phoenix. And and again, I think I believe they were playing. I believe they were playing Dallas, but he I think it was Joey Crawford calls he calls two technical fouls on two of I think it was Dallas's players, which so Steve Nash would go shoot free throws, and so everybody was arguing about it, and even Steve Nash came over to Joey Crawford and told him that they didn't deserve technical fouls. And I just thought that was funny, and so just for that just because it was funny, I think that was my favorite Steve Nash moment.
I think watching Joey Crawford referee games is like a game in itself. Like that's funny to watch. Like I just can't wait to see him blow a whistle on a travel just so he does a dance move. You know what I mean? Because he'll
Yeah,
be doing those moves where he starts doing the running man up the floor, and you're just like, "What are you doing?"
yeah. I was at a game in Charlotte not too long ago. I think they were playing. I don't know who they were playing, but they're playing the Raptors. That's who it was. They're playing Toronto, and Joey Crawford was one of the officials, and he called seven technical fouls in the game. It was
Seven
it's quite the
technical.
show.
It must have been a boring game. Though. Like, there's so many. I hate watching games. Like, I hate watching Clipper games, especially in the fourth quarter. Like, I like watching their games until the fourth quarter, and you know you're just gonna see DeAndre Jordan at the line. Like, that
Yeah,
can just be a betting game for most people. Like, oh, he's at the line. You know, $50 down, he makes it. It's like playing baccarat at the casino. It's like a 50-50 chance. You're the player or you're the banker. Which one do you want to be?
yeah, but like yeah, just he actually gave two sets of double technicals to gave one to Gerald Henderson and one to DeMar DeRozan, and I don't remember who the other two were for, and then he gave two or three more technicals after that. So it was, he got some love from the crowd, definitely. But yeah, it's interesting anytime he's officiating.
All right, before we wrap up this show, we talked about it off the air, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it for sure. And that's Atlanta. Uh, are they, built for the playoffs? That's kind of the bit. That's the last topic I want to hit on before we round out this show here. I kind of want to just make it a quick one because we're kind of running short on time here, but we're watching them. They just got beaten, destroyed today against Sunday, March 22nd, by the San Antonio Spurs. They just recently played, Golden State, got smashed by them as well. I mean, are they built for the playoffs? I mean, you cover them. You write about them. So you would have the best insight on this and your thoughts on it. So I want to hear your thoughts on Atlanta so far going into the regular or going into the postseason. Should, Atlanta fans be kind of worried?
I don't I don't think they should be worried, especially if Kyle Korver gets healthy. I think he's the most important player on that team. I think without him, they don't win, and that was kind of demonstrated in Golden State, just because of the floor spacing he provides, the space he gives Millsap and Horford to work in the post, and just his consistency. He doesn't shoot a lot. He's not gonna pour in 40 points, but when he shoots, it's pretty surefire. It's pretty consistent. It's going to go in. Um, but I think they are built for the playoffs. I'm not sure they're built for a championship run just yet because they need to add some depth. They've been playing Kent Bazemore big minutes, and that's just it's kind of a good deal, bad deal. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Plays good defense, gets a little trigger happy sometimes.
So
But
although they're the number one seed in the East, you don't have them as the number one contender for a championship.
no, I I would not be surprised at all if they came out of the East, but I don't think, especially if they run into Golden State, San Antonio, maybe even Memphis in the finals. I don't think they have a chance of beating those teams right now. Um, just
Who
because
are your top three teams coming out of the East? Like in an order. If like you had to say this is the first team I think is coming out, second team and third team. Like in this order, I think this is how it's going to play out.
Well, just in the East, I actually do have Atlanta at the top, um, then Cleveland, and then and then Chicago. Just I know, just kind of going with the standings there, but those are just those are teams that those are really the only three teams that I am sold on being something, in the playoffs because Washington and Toronto, I wasn't sold on them to begin with, and they've fallen off lately. And really, I mean, the Wizards just they ever since the All Star break, they've just been awful. They've been getting it back though, and I think they can make some noise, but I think those are the three teams that are have legit chances of coming out of the East, and I think those are the only ones that I could see coming out of the East.
My number one team is Chicago. I think they're getting healthy at the right time. I think Derrick Rose will be back for playoffs. He's already. I think he's maybe a week or two away from contact practice. Jimmy Butler is expected to come back next week. Gibson just returned. Mirotic is turning it on as a starter. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do coming off the bench again. I think Tony Snell being the starter for the minutes that he got, I think he got to get some experience. He was putting up a little bit of numbers. He started off slow, then started to pick it up a little bit, and then Joakim Noah, Pau Gasol, those two guys are already there. So as long as you get Derrick Rose, I think Aaron Brooks is great off the bench for them. I think he had that kind of Nate Robinson role when he was there. I think he's filling it out just nicely. So I have Chicago as my number one. I have Atlanta as my number two. And the reason why is just because, like you said, I think without Corver, and I think this is why Corver should have been an All Star. Was he an All Star this year?
Yeah, but he was only an
Uh,
All Star because somebody was injured. I can't remember who it was.
yeah, but he was an All Star. I mean, Cousin was an All Star because what's his name got injured. Kobe got injured out. So All Star is
Yeah,
an All Star. I'm not gonna put no asterisks by it. But he was an All Star this year, and I think he deserved it mainly because he's not like you said. He's not going to get you 40 points a night. He's not even going to get you 20 points a night. But what he does is he expands the floor from just standing. Like if he's on the floor, the coaches say, "You see that dude right there? Grab his jersey and get in him. Do not let him touch that ball because if he gets a vision of that hoop, I'm giving it like a 45% chance that thing's going in. That's good because he's going to be at 3 point range. 45% from 3 point range, and he's shooting 50 from three
yeah,
point range. That's ridiculous. Don't leave him. And that's why I think he's the most important player. Like you said, I completely agree with you. I think he's the most important player on that team. I think after that, you have to go with either Teague or Millsap because Millsap puts up numbers. Like he can expand the floor with a three. He can get you in the low post. He gets those steals. I really like Paul Millsap on that team. I think after that, probably Jeff Teague and then Horford. And then I think the filling guys that they have with Sevalosha, although he's injured, and Carroll, I think by association, that is just a great team. Like they are a team.
yeah.
But
Like
I don't
definitely, yeah. I mean, everybody knows their role, and they move the ball better than anybody in the East.
and they're
Um,
greatly coached. They have a great coach.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They know exactly what they're doing. I think what they're doing with Dennis Schroeder is great because last year I did not like Dennis Schroeder. This year, I watched a couple games. He's matured. He's slowed down. The game has slowed down for him. He's finding players easier. He's not forcing a lot of passes. I really like Dennis Schroeder. I think Jeff Teague is just consistently improving. And it started from being a complete one-on-one team, Atlanta Hawks with Joe Johnson and all them, and now being a complete pass first type of team. And I love watching the Atlanta Hawks. But if they're going to make a playoff run out of the East, I mean, they're beating teams. They were beating teams earlier in the season, but to beat one team for 4 games in a row, you know what I mean, on a 7 game series, I don't know. I think they can be read at some point. I think you can start reading how they play. I don't know. That's just me. They could have that Spurs effect where like you don't know what they're doing, but I kind of get that feeling that you can kind of read how they play. And that's why I have them at number two. And then I have Cleveland as number three. I mean, Kyrie, LeBron, that's just, and Kevin Love. Although they're completely misusing Kevin Love, and I don't think he's going to be in Cleveland next season. He's a possible person I see going to LA more than anybody. But yeah, so I go Chicago because they're getting healthy and they're just a mean team. I got Atlanta at number two, and I got Cleveland at my three coming out of the East. But
yeah. That I can't argue with that. I mean, Chicago's Chicago is scary when they're healthy and everybody's playing the way they can play.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, that is our show for the day. This is episode 2 of the NBA Hounds podcast. Follow us on Twitter. Connor's at Renfro Connor. That's his last name, first name. At his last name, first name. And
Yes.
then I'm at VM Center on Twitter. And then, just tell the fans out there what you're working on, Connor, and basically where they can find you online.
Well, right now I'm working on a piece about Jamal Crawford's injury for LA Sports Hub on the fan-sided network on Hound Sports. You can find my work on the Atlanta Hawks and Charlotte Hornets pages. SlamDunkZone.com and TrueSchoolSports.com. I write all things NBA for them. And then you can find my recaps for the Hornets games on TradeStreetPost.com.
Definitely. And then I'm also working on a piece for about DeMarcus Cousins. Will he be a Sacramento King next year? I think that's a big question mark. I think the front office completely has started messing up with him. And so I'm working on that for, SatKingsNation.com. That's a personal site that I've personally made. And I'm also writing like a side piece off of that. So it's kind of like a note piece. Basically the same thing, but with different type of wording and a little bit more information for Fansided, just because Fansided's more global network. And then Hound Sports, I'm kind of doing the same thing, but in a different direction of where I see why he should be coming to Sacramento. So definitely keep a lookout for that on all 3 of those sites, because those are the 3 sites I write for. Hound Sports, Fansided under the Golden Gate Sports Network, and then SatKingsNation.com. You guys can also find me on YouTube on my own channel, the Kings Score SKN articles, where I cover, all Sacramento Kings stuff on that podcast. We do giveaways, we have guests, and we may be having a guest on this show sooner rather than later. So be sure to stay tuned. Follow both of us on Twitter. Leave your guys' comments in the comment section below. If you guys agree, disagree with anything that we've said, your favorite Steve Nash moments, who you think's coming out of the East, who you think's coming out of the West, and who's going to be that 8th seed in both conferences. We want to know. So until next time, Hound Sports fans, bye-bye.